All right, what's going on, guys? Try back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the eventual start for The Walking Dead Season 10. And this one, we're going to give our thoughts on production just beginning for The Walking Dead Season 10, as well as a Dead update, a variety of different news items, new things for The Walking Dead. How's it going, guys? So I wanted to at least do one Walking Dead video this week. We can't go a week without a Walking Dead video. That's just blasphemous. And I'll probably have another one coming for you guys soon for the Walking Dead comics, because the comics lately have been pretty crazy, and anyone who's read up to current date probably knows what I'm talking about. If you haven't, check it out if you're interested in the Walking Dead comic book series. Some crazy changes and stuff. Issue 200 is coming up pretty soon, so I'll probably have a video on that tomorrow for you guys, or at least sometime soon. So we do have some new stuff going on in the world of Walking Dead. Of course, Fear the Walking Dead starts next month, which is June 2nd, I believe, right, is the premiere date, and they've had some little trailers and stuff like that on Heroes Unite and stuff like this. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's you can check it out from AMC. I'll put the link in the description for you to see it. You got like all the Morgan and Alicia and everybody, and they're kind of, I don't know, it's like an Avengers type of, I don't know. It's kind of silly. But Fear the Walking Dead has kind of got that feel right now where it's sort of half serious and sometimes it's kind of half silly. So that's, it's a little bit strange. It's a little bit different for what we're probably used to, but it's okay. It's a new reinvented show, season 5 of Fear. We'll see what they have for us. We'll see how it turns out, and some possible stuff from that one. No one's gone till they're gone. There's kind of a new picture with that one for. I don't know if it's a hint kind of at Madison, because that's the last thing she kind of said in Fear before she left. And I don't know if we'll see Madison in Fear ever again. Most people, right now, we're thinking she's dead, but who knows? They could always go back on that. They could always kind of change that. And we'll see what Fear the Walking Dead's future looks like right now, as they're, of course, also starting with the third Walking Dead series. And then I've heard some things about possibly another one on top of that. So I don't know. 4 Walking Dead series, now that's definitely too much, if you ask me. But anyway, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and who knows? Having a new episode of Walking Dead, something on every Sunday of the year for AMC might be what they want to do. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But we have our first set photo, and I'll put the link in the description to comicbook.com, as well as Big Bald Head, which is Norm Reedus's, I don't know, I guess his handle, I guess, or his Twitter name, whatever. And you can see kind of the chairs, and you got Daryl and you got Carol, so they're just kind of starting. You can see the forest around and everything, which we're very used to seeing at this point now for Walking Dead. Certainly when you look at that background, like, that's Walking Dead to me, right? Like, that's what we usually see as far as the backgrounds go for all the different scenes and stuff. I'm just so used to it at this point after it being the 10th season. But, I mean, I think the win here is that the series is still going. I mean, there are so many other series this year that have ended or are ending. For example, Game of Thrones is just wrapping up right now. They only have 2 episodes left and that series is over. And I'm so happy that The Walking Dead has decided that they want to continue on. And because there's so much fan demand there, they're making even additional series for us. And even if, a lot of us don't like certain series or we don't like certain characters, who knows? Maybe we'll like the third one more. Like, for people who don't like Fear, maybe they'll like the third series more. Maybe the movies will be their all-time favorite. We'll have to see how the Rick movies compare to the Walking Dead series. Or for a lot of people, with Daryl and Carol kind of taking the lead, I guess, Michonne leaving this year in season 10, maybe the original Walking Dead series will be their favorite going forward with Daryl and Carol. At least there's a discussion now of kind of which your favorite series is and which one you're looking forward to most. So I am looking forward to season 10 for The Walking Dead, of course. I mean, that's going to be awesome. Daryl and Carol back at it again with Judith and with all the others. All of our kind of old school type of characters, the ones that are still alive, that is, or around. Also looking forward to Fear, but I think right now, and you guys can leave a comment below on where you're at with this one, I think the movies for me are the most anticipated right now. As much as I'm anticipating season 10 and Alpha and the rest of the Whispers, War, and whatever we're going to see happen with that, and that looks great, I think the movies might be a little bit more anticipated for me, though. Just the whole concept of the whole idea of getting to see Rick again and getting to see where he is and what's happening with that. Maybe for me, that's kind of the top most anticipated right now. Nothing against Norman Reedus, right? Nothing against Daryl or Carol, but it is what it is. But that said, still heavily anticipating the return for The Walking Dead with season 10, of course, this fall, and so happy it's continuing on rather than them ending it, because so many other series at this point that started when The Walking Dead started have ended. Speaking of which, there is also an article, I'll also link as well for you guys, where CEO AMC said that The Walking Dead is still early in its life cycle. So this is something, we're not going to make a whole video on that. Obviously, it's something that they've talked a lot about over the last couple of years, which is that they can see another decade of The Walking Dead. They can see another 10 years of them continuing with it. They're just going to expand it out even further. So that's great for us Walking Dead fans. But also here just saying that they consider it to be early in its life cycle because there's so much demand for The Walking Dead, and it's almost like it's taken over the whole station. It's almost like The Walking Dead has developed and it's expanded so much. It's almost taken AMC over. Like all these other series, like Breaking Bad, for example, or any of the other ones they've had over the years that have had some success. There are other series that are really popular. They've never had anything like The Walking Dead. So it makes sense that they would kind of maximize it and kind of keep it going as long as they possibly can and use it as much as they possibly can. I mean, it just makes sense. They've never had anything like it. And I think that's about what you probably should do. That's probably what the fans want. At least, give it a couple years. Let's see how Game of Thrones fans feel after their series is over, and it had that awesome quality up until the end with huge budgets and dragons and all kinds of crazy stuff. But then when it's over, I tend to think people will be like, man, I really wish Game of Thrones was on this year. Well, The Walking Dead will be. It might not have Rick at the forefront, but you'll have something, and even if you don't like it as much, it'll still be there. So it'll be something. So I think that's pretty cool that we can look forward to that. Then, there's another one with Chad Coleman, who of course played Tyrese, who talks about how he rage quit after the season 7 premiere, which a lot of people did. So it's not just him, right? It says, here was his answer. So they asked him a question. He said, no, quote, I haven't been watching, Coleman told CinemaBlend. After Glenn and Abraham, ... Negan smashed their heads in that way, it was just kind of like, that's enough for me. Thanks, guys. Take care. All the best. But they're coming back around to more nuanced, less extreme characters. So it sounds like Tyrese, or Chad Coleman, did not like Negan. So he's a Negan hater, right? He's on that bandwagon of the people that turned off after the season 7 premiere. A lot of people did, and a lot of them never came back, right? It was just, I guess it was too much for them, or a lot of people want to see the good guys win in the end, right? They want to have that story where the good guys always win. Somehow Glenn manages to get under that dumpster and he escapes, and it's okay, and oh man, he almost gets killed, but then he escapes and then he's alive anyway. And then The Walking Dead. Well, if he didn't like the season 7 premiere, maybe it's a good thing he didn't watch the season 9 episode 15. Basically, the season 9 finale, pretty much, with that in the last episode, because I thought that was even more brutal with the Pikes than even the Negan smash. But I don't know. You guys, let me know what you think. Do you think that the Whisperers are kind of even more brutal than Negan was? I think they are. I think they're quite a bit more brutal than Negan was, and I mean, just seeing all the heads on the Pikes and stuff all at once was kind of too much to take. So maybe it's a good thing he kind of, he stepped off, because it's gone in even darker territory than that at times after that, right? Especially recently. So, but you understand and stuff, and he's a good guy, right? So he likes to have those kind of happy positive type of stories, and it's quite a bit of negative energy, right? When maybe some of your heroes get their, heads chopped off and stuff like that. So, granted, it happens in Game of Thrones too, which is recently. So cool stuff. So that's pretty much it for the different new news items that we've seen recently, kind of this week or recently for Walking Dead. I think that's most of it. We do have some comments here. I did another video for Rick on speculation theory on where we think Rick is leading into the movies. So we have a lot of questions from that afterwards. We'll do a few here now. And if you guys didn't see the video, I'll have it in the end screen. Click it after you're done watching this one. You can kind of hear our discussion and everything on where we think Rick is right now. 2014, Katie says, I can't wait for Rick to realize he has a son and see Judith and Michonne again. I'm just not sure about Judith, right? Because they kind of probably want her to stay in the original Walking Dead series. So I'm not sure how this whole thing is going to work with Michonne leaving and RJ, and how, if any of them stay in the series, like they, because you'd think Judith would stay and not kind of leave too, because if they all leave in season 10, that's going to be kind of tricky for, like they're going to be off screen. Who else are they going to put on screen in the Walking Dead series? So I'm not sure if he'll see Judith again. I'm really not sure. We'll see. And I'd like the idea that he would, but I don't think it's a given. I don't think it's guaranteed that Rick will, right? Tricky to say. EH says, I like the idea of the movie starting exactly when he left in the helicopter. He's just landing at wherever they took him and go from there. Something like that. I like the idea personally of him kind of waking up in a coma or something like that again to parallel how the series started. when he kind of just wakes up and he's in zombie apocalypse land, similar to 28 Days Later. And I'm not sure who did it first. I still, to this day, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the Walking Dead comic series did it first or 28 Days Later. Maybe it was just a coincidence that they both had their characters kind of waking up in a hospital like that and kind of, just finding themselves in a zombie apocalypse. So I like the idea of another coma or something like that to pass a few years or something like that. I think that makes sense. You got to close that time gap somehow eventually. So we'll see how it does actually, in fact, close that up. Boa Boy says, I heard all the Rick movies are based out of the neighborhood Morales grew up in. So I had to put that one in there. Maybe the Morales jokes will never get old. Maybe they will. That's a good one. I like that one. Jimmy Miff says, having withdrawals from Rick mode. I need Rick mode, damn it. Yeah, it's true, man. Can't wait to see the movies with Rick back again, right? No, Daryl's cool with the crossbow too in the original series. Key Air Kemp says, why do people keep saying Maggie is at the Commonwealth when it's not confirmed and Georgie is the leader of an unknown group? That's true that we don't know for sure that Georgie is the leader of the Commonwealth. We don't know if it's the same community as it was in the comics, and it probably won't be. And we go into that a bit in the Rick video, which is that, we should probably assume these are different groups. We should probably assume that Maggie is not at the comic book Commonwealth in the same way, and that they're going to have to change that because it wouldn't make sense for the radio to receive communication from a group that Maggie's already at. There's no point. What's the point? Maggie's already there, so you're getting communication. Oh, you're over here. But they already know Maggie's over there. It's got to be a different group. It just kind of, story-wise, it has to be a different, it's got to diverge. It's got to be a different group so that it brings in a new group and not one that she just happens to be at. That would be, it'd be kind of strange. They should already know where she is, right? Like, that should already be something that's known to them, and it shouldn't be a reveal if they see her again. It should be like, oh, there's Maggie. She's back from Georgie's group, whatever it's called. I don't know. Sir Flatus Soup says, hey, Trav Q&A, if Rick really is the cure, do you think that maybe whatever community he's at could have convinced him to stay for the greater good? Let's end with this one. Like saving the world is more important than going back to his family. Not really. It's going to be tricky, right? Like in terms of how they kind of set this whole thing up, because they don't want it to be contrived. So it's going to be kind of difficult for them to make all the pieces fit here and have all the characters feel natural with regards to their decisions. So if you have Michonne leave and she doesn't take Judith, it's going to be strange, right? They'll have to explain it. They'll have to say, like, okay, it's too dangerous, so you can't bring Judith because, and you can't bring RJ. Michonne's got to go alone. She has to because it's too dangerous on the road for the kids to be out there on the road. We just talking about Tyrese, for example. He's a good example of why they can't just be out there in the open all the time for months or years on end. So, they have to kind of explain each decision and why people do the things they do to have it fit with the overall picture of them expanding out into the broader Walking Dead universe with movies and the other series and everything. It's got to make sense. Like when Morgan ran away, I thought it made perfect sense because people do that all the time. When people get really stressed out, sometimes they quit their jobs, sometimes they run, sometimes they move, sometimes they just sell everything and just go, sometimes they just go on vacation, backpacking across who knows wherever. Some people call it a midlife crisis, but, people just do that sometimes. They just leave. If things are getting too heavy, if you just fought a war, maybe, and you had to kill 20 or 30 people, your conscience is attacking itself, maybe you just run. Because you just do, and that's something that I think is totally fit. So I think they've done a really good job so far, or Dwight being banished by Daryl and told never to come back or he'll kill him. Daryl's pretty fearsome. Maybe he does just leave, and then he happens to run into Morgan years later or something. They have to have everything line up and everything makes sense. And so it's kind of tricky to say that Rick would decide to stay. They'd have to do some really good convincing for him that it's got to be for the really greater good. then I guess maybe he could, but he'll always have in the back of his mind he's got to find his family, because he's always looking for his family. That's what he started with at the beginning of the series. He's always doing that. He's destined to always be searching for his family. So you have to have him want to leave at some point, right, to go find his family. It's tricky, man. I just think it makes more sense if the group is evil that took him. Like, they take him, they take people. That doesn't sound good to me. You know, who knows what they do with him? You never see Heath again. It's not like they just release him. That just doesn't sound like a good guy type of group to me. It's like, okay, maybe they help him, sure, and that's a good thing to do. But then after that, they're just going to let him leave, right? And that's something they could do too. It could be in the middle where they say, well, we saved you. You owe us your life. You have to, pay us back. You can't just leave just yet. You got to pay us back. So that could be a middle approach where they're not totally evil, but they saved him, so he owes them his life, so he feels obligated that he can't leave, and they hold it over his head that he's got to stay and do something until eventually things are taken care of with some kind of problem and there's a solution, and then he can leave or something. Or maybe Michonne finds him and she saves him or something. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, we'll see what they come up with and how things go for The Walking Dead movie. The Walking Dead Season 10 coming up in the fall. Very excited. Fear the Walking Dead coming up next month, which isn't too many weeks away now if you look at it. It's about, 3.5 or so weeks until Fear premieres. So we'll do reviews for that. We'll do all the usual Fear videos and all that. And hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are, having a good May. And leave your comments below. Let me know where you're at. Check out that Rick video if you didn't get a chance to see it. Definitely got to watch that one, because I think it's, for me anyway, it's pretty much the biggest thing for Walking Dead. When they eventually do that movie, it's going to kind of, I think, outshine everything else. Even though it's great to have the Walking Dead series on too, the original canon series with its 10th and 11th seasons. Still, for me, that's the thing I'm looking forward to most. But let me know what you guys think. Where are you at? That's it for this video. If you guys liked it, like it, thumb it up. Subscribe. I got a pillow, right? You want to subscribe pillow, right? I don't know. It's $10 or something. Okay, and that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you again soon. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.